Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. Yeah, this is Ed Brown. Oh, yes, I was a victim. Yeah, but, you had Father's Day, and hey, the kids got me a horse, and I rode it in. I rode it in. But anyway, hey, this is first day of summer, and what we're going to do, hey, you said, that's not Ed Brown. Where's his suit and tie? Well, for the next couple of months, I'm going to just take it easy. I know. You'll enjoy the show. Just hang in there. But right now, we have David Hubert. Is that?
Yeah, David Hubert, yes.
Hubert, right. Now, this is young man who's executive director of Concentric.
Concentric, correct.
Concentric.
Yes.
Now, this is a organization that he's come up with. He's put his life into it. He feels that he's an educator, and he feels that this is the way to go. Tell us a little bit about this. You're the CEO. Why do you come up with this approach?
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And it's appropriate that you call it an approach rather than a program. Most people in schools are familiar with programs. And we are very explicit to say that we are not a program, we are an approach. And the thought is, as I was an educator, teacher, and a school administrator, we were seeing so many students just disengaged. A lot of overage, unaccredited students who were 17, 18 years old, only had 2 or 3 credits, and they would end up dropping out of school. And the thought was, how can we get these students back into school and give them the support that they need, and work with the families and work with the community and work with the school to help support these young people so that they can be successful. So around 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago, I was approached by an organization out of California called New School Venture Fund. And New School Venture Fund looked at organizations, innovative organizations with new ideas to support students. So they funded a lot of organizations such as Teach for America, TNTP, ANET, but we were the very first, and I'm proud to say this, we were the very first Black organization to get a grant to start this approach and work with schools across the country. So now
it was federal grant, right?
No, so New School Venture Fund is an intermediary between like the Broad Foundation, Gates Foundation. So New School Venture Fund, so organizations or foundations such as Gates and Broad, they will give money to New School Venture Fund to go, and they in turn go across the country to look for organizations that they will fund to work with
so you had
different
to qualify
schools. Yes.
Your organization for the funding.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So it was my first endeavor into it. So a wonderful person out of Montgomery County. She's in Montgomery County now. She at that time she worked with New School Venture Fund. She saw the results that we were getting in Washington D.C. With re-engaging students and getting students to come to school and be successful. And she asked me had I thought about taking this approach and offering to other school districts. And at that time, I had not. And she said, well, maybe you should, and apply for an opportunity. So I wrote something up, applied for the opportunity, and 9 years later, now we've been pretty much across the country doing this work, getting students back into school and to helping them be successful.
Well, do you have different groups that you work with, or how do you get the individuals involved in it? You go through the school system, you go through the government?
The schools recommend students who are overage, undercredited. So they look at students' grades, they look at students' attendance, some of their behaviors. Those are some of the qualifiers. And then we do home visits. We go into the neighborhoods, we go into the community physically, and we knock on doors, and we ask the parents and we ask the students, what do you need to be successful? We don't want you to drop out of school. We want you to be engaged. We want you to be successful. What do you need? And so this year, nationwide, we've done about 18,000 home visits.
Yes,
18,000. Thank you.
Yeah.
So myself, I do less of the home visits now. I have a team of people, but we go into the communities in the evenings. All of our home visits are done in the evening and on Saturdays and Sundays.
Great.
The reason that we do them in the evenings and Saturdays and Sundays is that's when most people are home.
Right.
And we just knock on the door and we ask questions. And the model that we use is by a gentleman named Dr. Freeman Rabowski, who's president of UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. So we looked at his model of interviewing, and we used that to guide our work or our approach.
Well, do you work with corporations on this? Because what you're doing, it takes some funding, other than what you the program.
So we get funding from foundations.
Yeah.
School districts will fund us sometimes through some of their title programs, some of their Title I programs, so that because we reduce truancy. So one of the largest issues that we have across the board is chronic absenteeism, and that chronic absenteeism is basically defined as students who miss 10 or more % of the school year. They're absent, and so we target those students and we bring them back. Right.
Well, in doing that, then you have to get into the economics of the student that you're dealing with, because it due to many things, of broken families.
Absolutely.
That they have to have some qualification or to be accepted in your program.
Yeah, so the qualification, so they qualify if they again have attendance challenges, behavior challenges, or academic challenges.
Who determines that?
Well, it's defined by the school districts,
Okay.
right? So if 2 or more, I'm loosely putting it because it goes across the board, and it's really school by school or district by district. If a student misses 10 or more days, they kind of qualify. If a student has been suspended multiple times, they qualify. If a student fails math or English, they would qualify. Any combination of 1 or all 3 of those criteria, then they would qualify.
Do they have a choice of volunteering, and how do you get them to get into the program?
Well, it's more so that the program is more so, like we were talking about at the beginning, more so the approach. We just go to them and ask them what needs to be in place for them to be successful, and we bring that information back to the school. And that's the gist, or that's our role in that movement. So it's fundamentally it's not programmatic. What we do is we interview the students and the families to figure out what they need,
critical.
and then we bring that information back to the school
And the
say,
school makes a determination.
then the school begins to work with other agencies and other organizations to help provide that. Many of the challenges that we find is because the schools don't have the capacity to do 1,000 home visits, is that they need the information.
Right.
And a lot of times, even though when they try to get the families to the schools, the students or the families don't necessarily come to the school. So when we go to the homes and we interview these students and we interview these families and we get a sense of what they need and we share that with the schools have the resources, or at least the partnerships that they can leverage and provide and align to the students and the families.
Well, as far as finance, I keep coming back to that because it's time and money, and that some of the problems that youngsters have is financial. It's fact.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's fact that they look at different things that happen in the neighborhood, whereas John Jones down there, he has he has a big car and and that type of thing.
Absolutely.
And the only thing that is offered to them, basically, along monetary, is fast food employment.
Yeah.
And there's no way that they can survive with fast food employment. So that's why I say that the corporations seem to me they would want to be part of your program.
Yeah, so I think a great place where this worked was in the city of Detroit, where we did a lot of work. So the school partnered with 3 agencies. They partnered out there. It's called Myers. They have a Myers out there. It's probably they have Walmart too, but Myers is kind of similar to right.
Yeah,
it's a superstore. It has everything, right?
Yeah.
So this particular school partnered with the Myers within the neighborhood to provide jobs, entry-level jobs, but also job training. They also partnered with the community college so that these young people could get trades and certifications and apprenticeships. That really helped out a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think when I was coming along, they had vocational school.
Yes.
Now they're gone.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's one thing that they should have continued. They should continue. Everyone is not college material, and what they have to realize is that hey, you call a plumber or electrician, heck, that's $50.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just for coming out and looking.
Auto body mechanic.
Yeah,
Yes.
All of that, there's
Yes.
a demand for that. But I feel especially the African American male is that they're not capable of really being on the level with their friends that has a college education, so they go into illicit drugs in order to make that difference.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we fundamentally have got to do differently in education is that we have got to be more innovative. And I think that word gets used often. I think it gets used incorrectly, frequently. And here's the reason why. I think a lot of times we say innovation, but we just repackage something and say that it's innovative. I think with our young folks today, and where there's accessibility, and they have access to things across the globe now, we have got to think outside the box to help our young people. With education, the way that the educational system is structured is the delayed response. You're supposed to, fundamentally, you do X number of years, and then you get a diploma, or you get a degree, and then you go into a career, and then you make your money. Well, it's kind of hard to tell a 14-year-old or 15-year-old, wait 10 years to make money.
Right.
Right? So I think what we have done, unfortunately, is, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, is, and it's kind of counter what everyone is talking about now. Now, I truly believe that everyone needs to be post-secondary ready. Everyone is not going to go to college.
Right.
Right? You have to be ready for something.
Right.
Right? I think we miss a huge group of people, students, because we're trying to prepare everyone for college as opposed to college and career ready, whatever that career could be.
Right.
And similar to what you said, there's a great living that can be made with those types of trades.
Sure.
Auto body mechanic makes $90 an hour.
Right.
That's really good money.
Right. Blue collar work
is
seemed to me we skipped over that, and you don't understand. Okay, even a youngster that has a degree or has 2 degrees right now. The school loan and everything, by the time he finished with the school loan, he has a house note.
Yes.
So he's out there,
yes.
And there's no job.
It was interesting. Every moment is a teachable moment, right? So last week I was in Georgetown University Hospital getting ready for my surgery, and I was speaking to my anesthesiologist, and I was like, wow, what makes you get into being an anesthesiologist? And so I didn't know that every single doctor, regardless of the field you go into, you got to go to 4 years of medical school, right? Or 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical, and then after that, then whatever specialty that you choose. But for him, he would have gone 4 years undergrad, 4 years medical school, so that's 8, and then he has to do 5 years for to be an anesthesiologist.
Right.
Well, right there, right. So right there, you're at 13 years. And I said, well, how much money will you owe? And he would have owed in loans almost $300,000.
Yeah, right.
And he would only start making money at the age of like 42 years old.
Yeah.
So I think we have got to be much more conscious of what we're trying to give and offer to our young people, because to your point, when we speak to these young people, they say exactly what you say.
Yeah.
I need to make money.
Right.
I need to provide for myself and provide, in many cases, for my family.
Right.
What can you do? And we can't make school and earning a living competing entities. We have got to do better.
Right.
And so those are the conversations that we're having with the schools.
Yes. See, and I don't understand the fact that that's all over the country where vocational schools are out. And vocational schools are the answer, because once they start doing that, those vocations, most of them make more money than the college graduate.
Yes,
and the thing too is that I think that they de-emphasize is business. Actually, youngsters could go into business for themselves, but there's no emphasis on starting your own business. as a blue-collar worker, you can start your own business. Whether you're a plumber, plumbing company, electrician, all of that gets into the economics that you're living in.
Yeah. Well, we're taught, I mean, in essence, not even in essence, in practicality, we are taught, go to school, learn something, get a degree, and work for somebody.
Yeah, right.
That's what we're taught.
Well, actually, that's antique. That's the age that I was brought into. Okay, what you do, you go to school, you get a degree, you get to a good government job, you work for 40 years, and then you retire.
Right.
Nothing is in there about being an entrepreneur, getting into the economics of your system.
Yes.
And that's what you have. And I think that's where they miss it, because during segregation, the Afro-American had more businesses than they do now. The average, they talk about Prince George County and everything, but what large corporations are we supporting here in Prince George County?
Absolutely.
See, those are the things. Everybody has 4 cars and a big house and that type of thing. But where's the automobile dealership?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the stores like Kmart and all of them, where is the participation of the young people in mentoring programs? Just like I say, all of these businesses should have mentoring programs for the youngsters where they have a ladder in which they can advance.
Absolutely.
See?
And that's why that worked in Detroit. One of the things that we said to the neighborhood Myers, ironically, they tore down an old school in Detroit to build the Myers. And the conversation that the principal had with the principal and some other community stakeholders had with the manager, the general manager of that Myers, is saying, look, your business is driven by this neighborhood.
Right.
You need to reinvest in this neighborhood.
Right.
And part of that reinvestment is providing jobs to the young people who are coming through, and not just and not making it where they have to choose between working or going to school. That they can do both, but then also see what the trajectory could be if they stay there, like the mentoring programs. But I mean, you said something very very profound. I think we have lost as a community, African American community. We fundamentally, I don't think, and this goes, I was a history major at Lincoln and at Temple. I think we didn't understand as a community, an African American community, what some of the downsides could be of integration. Right. I think we just looked at integration as something positive and not the negative things that could have happened.
Because the business aspect is there. Every group, the first thing they do, you look at the Spanish, you look at Orientals, first thing they do is get involved in the financing of the world. I was reading in Wall Street Journal just today where the Chinese are going around the world buying real estate.
Yes.
That's around the world. They're out there buying because they know that, hey, look, they're not making any more land. You know what I mean? But the population increases everywhere, and they're a good example of population. And this is the way that they're handling it. They're all over the world buying real estate. Wow. People say, what's this? Chinese bought this? But in neighborhoods, they're getting involved in the business, and this is what this is the answer as far as African Americans. They have to develop a business attitude.
Yes.
See, because just spending, there's no investment involved there, and I feel that vocational school is the answer, because the youngsters can learn a trade, they can afford it, and then they can get into the business world.
And many of the young people that we interview when we go into the homes, they have an entrepreneurial spirit. They do want to do something, right? But we have got to provide, and we have to nurture that spirit, right? And attract that, and listen and be responsive to their thing, to their needs and what they're saying. Right. We, as school systems across the country, have got to do better in doing that and addressing those needs. Yes, I agree with you 100%.
Well, see, that's one of the things that when you're a young person, okay, that they had a program where young people say, hey, the youngsters are staying home longer than they used to. They used to, go and get a job, and they out of the house at 21, 22.
Yeah.
Now some of them still home in the 30s.
30s and 40s, yes, yes.
Because the economy forces them
yes.
to do that,
yeah.
because the availability of the educational system not providing training, and what I don't understand, and I tell people, a lot of the education don't agree with it. I said education to the level of the community college should be free, because what you're doing, you're investing in the future. Education is the future, and what happens once you invest, that youngsters become a good citizen participating and not a liability. Absolutely. You don't have to have all the prisons and things of that nature that they're busy building prison. Okay, well, take that money and invest it in the youngsters to the point education along the lines of giving them an opportunity, because they don't qualify. Everybody's not a PhD. You know what I mean? So what you have to do, you want good citizens. You talk about the murder rate and all these rates go up and down. The reason for it is that the people are desperate, and they are in an environment. If you're over there eating ice cream and having, and I'm over here starving, I'm gonna slap you upside the head one day, you know.
No, those conditions create the lack of economic opportunities that you mentioned are real. They're present. We have got to be much more responsive. In Detroit, I'm referencing Detroit just because I've been there so much over the past 5 years. They've now made community college, any student who graduates from Detroit public schools can go to community college for free now. They can go to Wayne County Community College, which is amazing. And it was a huge leap because they have got to build the productive citizenship. And you do that through economic opportunity, which for a long time, the residents of Detroit did not have. It wasn't present.
Yeah, because they take the money from those people, but they don't provide a way for them people to be good citizens.
Absolutely.
They will be good citizens if they had a job.
Absolutely.
If they had some means of taking the economic pressure, supposing you had to worry every day about basics, sleeping and eating, finding a place to stay, and eating every day. We take it for granted because we're in the environment. But the thing that I say, and I've done this a few times, these corporations and all, they moved in the neighborhood, and first thing I want to know, what kind of CEO program did they have? What kind of management program? I went to one store here, and they looked at me like I was crazy when I asked them about mentoring. Having young people come in the evenings or whatever, and make them aware of the process of business, and then giving them an opportunity to see how businesses are run.
Absolutely.
See.
Absolutely. Similar to what you said, I do agree. I agree across the board. Is that if you lack the basic necessities, and this is what we hear when we're in the homes of these students and these families. I did a home visit in Baltimore several weeks ago, and literally it was a family of 5 or 6 young people, and they were eating cereal for dinner. I mean, that was their dinner, right? And that's what the family was able to afford for food.
Right.
And I mean, when you're lacking the basic necessities, I mean, just coming to school hungry, coming in, one of the things that, again, what we did in Detroit is, Detroit is a different type of cold than Prince George's County, right? It just gets really, really cold for a long period of times. And there is no public transportation, not reliable public transportation. And these students will come in just sweatshirts, and it's 2 degrees outside with the wind chill -4. we have to provide them, just with the basic necessities to come to school. So we do have to do we have to do a much better job of what that looks like. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think your program is hit the nail right on the head. This is something that really needs to be done, and that continuation of program and making it possible for a person to be able to survive in an environment that we have.
Absolutely.
We have an environment here that actually crime, it's going to be crime when you have people on the level that's starving, or people on the level that we have, a massive amount of people, and we have the 4-car homes and
Absolutely.
and $1 million.
Absolutely.
And when they walk down the street, they see you with your Mercedes, and they see another person.
Absolutely.
And they can't afford the subway.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And see, that to me, that breeds poor citizenship.
Yes. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. That's what we've heard firsthand. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because, see, they're doing the best that they can. But like I said, I keep emphasizing, hey, vocational schools are the answer.
And give the student, if we listen to the students and we listen to their voice with authenticity, they will tell us what they need. We don't have to interpret it. They will tell us. We just need to be responsive to what they're asking us to provide, and then they will come. They will come more readily. They will come prepared, and they have to be able to graduate with something that's actually tangible that they can use.
Right.
Exactly.
That Detroit, I like it. I've been saying that actually community college, and a lot of youngsters that go through a 4-year, they need to go to a community college so they can realize what's out there and which way to go. Most of them, the first 2 years, you're taking the electives.
And you're just wandering around anyway and trying to figure it out.
You take it, but having that, and then it gives them an incentive because they have 1 degree. In 2 years, they have 1 degree. And then that gives them an incentive to go and get the other degree, a 4-year degree.
Absolutely.
See, that's the incentive it gives the young person. But I think that your program is just wonderful, and I just wish that in our political system that we realize, that answer to second grade living is having people working. Once they have an opportunity, because they can be positive citizens. Every last one of them can be positive citizen if they had the economic backing of a system that they're living in.
Absolutely. I agree.
It's not like they're over somewhere in the boonies. They're in the environment, but they're not part of it. So they want to destroy it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Give them something meaningful, gainful, something they can be proud of, something that's tangible in the short term, not just the long term.
So how many you have in your program now?
So, I mean, we've done probably this year, just alone across the country this year, we're probably, actually we're finishing up, we'll be at June 30th, we'll be at 16,000 students that we have visited.
Excellent.
Yes.
Tell us, what do you think in the future? What are you proposing in the future as far as your program? Quickly.
So what we've
got 1 minute.
So what we're going to do is we're putting together a collection of these stories that we're learning and that we're hearing from students, and we're going to put out a book and a documentary. And it's almost going to be similar to, there was a book out there many years ago, by Derek Bell, Faces at the Bottom of the Well. And
quickly, how many states participate in your program?
We have, we're in 5 states, and we'll take 2 more next year. So we'll be at 7.
You heard it here on the Ed Brown Show. Hey, that's the answer, boy. We just got to get people working. Once they get to working, they become #1 citizen. Okay, this has been Ed Brown. See you next time. I don't think I'm riding that horse.